Welcome, Suz Dorahy. On release day, as it turns out, we're recording this interview for your new EP. Congratulations. It's so wonderful. I've been listening to it over and over again, and every time I listen to it, I find new things in the songs. So again, congratulations.
Thank you so much. That's really nice of you to say that, and it's really, really good that you can pick different things up in the songs after you've heard them a couple of times. That's really amazing. Thank you.
And I should also say the title of it, which is Redemption is Real. And the songs, actually, I will backtrack to say this is your first EP since Stolen in 2016, although you did release a single in between. How long in the writing were these new songs?
So these new songs in the writing probably go back, maybe 18 months, I think, in the writing when I first started to pen these songs. And then they evolved, so I started to pen them and I put them down and then I penned them, and then probably, 12 months ago or more, they got embedded down in song,
Right. Yeah. So was there a conscious point at which you thought, I'm going to write some songs for a new project, or these songs just started to flow and you thought, all right, I'm going to start collecting these now?
Yeah, no, there was certainly no thought process of mine that I was going to do a new project. The songs were just born out of experience, and for me, my songwriting is all about me and my stories, and so it's a bit of therapy for me. So these songs were just born out of me in my lounge room with my guitar and thoughts and emotions and stories, and then once I knew that I had quite a number of songs embedded, that's when I approached Catherine Britt and asked her to produce an EP for me. Yeah. And
I will get to Catherine, but I wanted to ask first a bit more about the songs, which is that for me, at least, in here listening to them, it sounds like they are collectively about people and your connections to them, whether those connections are strong or strained. And I read that you actually spent 7 years living quite reclusively while dealing with some fairly significant health problems. Were those songs a response to that time as you reconnected with the world?
Look, yes and no. I think some of them are most definitely, sort of in that time where I was disconnected. I didn't develop new friendships or develop new relationships. So I think, that evolving piece of starting to sort of open my world up again and develop new friendships and open myself up to new friendships and relationships, it was certainly, and a lot of the songs have that connection piece in that, sort of open my world up again. So definitely there's a piece of that in there, 100%.
And of course, one of the songs is also about relationships that fell by the wayside. So you discovered that people weren't there for you.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it's, I think life's really challenging at the best of times, but it's just challenging all round. And sometimes you're just on your own, and I found that out the hard way. And but I think, I've grown from that, and that's okay.
Yeah. It is a hard lesson though, when you're in real need, and you think that's the time when people who care for you would be there. And I actually have experienced it myself, where people just disappear, and it's always the people you least expect, I think. But it's such a shock to deal with that, in addition to everything else you're going through.
It certainly is, and it, like you said, it comes as a blow. For me, it came as a massive blow. And you just got to pick up the pieces, and that's what I did, and it took me a while to do that, but it's tough. Yeah.
But I think given what you were experiencing at that time, given how some other people behaved towards you, given what you lived through, it might have been tempting to actually have just yourself as the subject of their songs. And I actually found it really moving that you looked outwards to your connections with other people, because that there is that drive to be in the world that's in the songs. And certainly for the time that you were experiencing difficulties, that you weren't in the world. So I'm wondering how hard it has been to maintain that drive to connect, to be in the world?
Look, some days it's really easy, and then some days it's really hard. And you know, most of the time I sort of really consciously make an effort to put myself in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, you know, that my default is just sort of closing the front door, sitting down with my guitar and my dog, and that's it, you know. But yeah, I really do have to sort of be really conscious about it and push myself to do that, because it's healthy and it's amazing. You know, some of the, like, my life's been amazing since I stepped out of that world and into a new world. And you know, I'm forever grateful for that.
It's an act of courage, though, isn't it, to take that step? Because it's even if you're in an uncomfortable situation, it's a familiar situation, and it can be really easy to just sit there and think, I'm just going to stay here. So I think it's always important to acknowledge the courage it takes to take a step to change your life, as you have done.
Absolutely. It really does take a lot of courage. And I say that with a lot of conviction, because it is tough and it's scary, and, you know, it's sort of stepping through that fear and that vulnerability, and building up your confidence, and, you know, all those sort of self-doubt questions and things like that I've had. But it is courageous. And, you know, some people I do know that really struggle with that, and I struggled with it. But fortunately for me, I was able to take that step and sort of just keep moving with that. So
and you can hear in your voice in these songs there is determination as much as there is strength. And sometimes I think we can talk about strength in a voice and it sounds like it has to be this booming kind of thing, but there's just that even confidence, I guess, that what you're singing is the right thing. Like the songs, you're singing the right stories in the songs, that they're at the right time. And it's so, as a listener, it's really actually quite reassuring to hear that, because it's like, all right, she's got it. I can sit back and take this in. But I think it does take a while to arrive at that place. Obviously, it comes out of your lived experience that you can sing that way.
Yeah, and that's really true. And I think, you know, you've sort of nailed it there. And I'm really proud of this EP, and I'm just really proud of, you know, exactly what you're saying. I'm proud that I have come to that place, and I am determined with these songs, and I was determined, and, you know, very committed to the product, and to, you know, recording them and putting them down for what they were and what they are. And that was the best part about working with Catherine, because she understood that, and it just, it's so true. And I'm blown away that you said that. It's really nice acknowledgement. So thank you.
Well, I call it as I hear it, shall we say. And now, and we will talk about Catherine now, because she was not just the producer for the EP, but it's on her label, Beverly Hillbilly Records. I'm so pleased to see her doing some producing, having this record label. Obviously, that was a great experience for you working with her.
It was incredible. And it just sort of, you know, it just, the connection just, it was just there, I feel. And, you know, I've always been a fan of Catherine Brett, and a massive fan, as a matter of fact. But, you know, we talked about my sort of my history, my influences. You know, I sent her a bunch of songs, and we were picking 5. I asked her to pick the best 5. I knew I wanted, and she came back with the exact same songs that I wanted. And so the connection was there straight away with the songs, and she could hear exactly what I could hear. So I could hear something when I was writing them and singing them, and you know, having that final product on an acoustic guitar. But then I could hear what I wanted, and we just gelled in that regard. She knew what she could hear, and to actually go through that experience with Catherine as a producer in the studio, and record with a live band, you know, it was just amazing. And then to sort of hear the end product, it's like, wow, you know, it was really incredible. Something just so special, so special.
And how gratifying for you to have her pick those same 5 songs, because I guess it means that the songs are done. Well, you've done your job as their songwriter, which was to get them to the point where they could belong to other people, and she had connected with them as a listener first, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. And that's and that was, that was just amazing. And at that point, I said to Catherine, she was the only person I felt that I could trust with these songs. And I just had that instinct and that intuition, and it turns out I was right. And she's nailed it, absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
Now, I believe that your introduction to Catherine came via Natalie Henry, who was quite the
Yeah.
musical force herself. So I'm wondering if you and Natalie are cooking up anything musically together.
Well, we've talked about trying to get a couple of shows together, sort of when the COVID, lockdowns and restrictions are lifted. We always love to do something together. And we've always sort of dabbled a little bit in writing songs together and helped each other out different areas and things like that, but nothing major. But we'd love to collaborate. And we really want to try and get something happening for Tamworth in April, a show together, because we were going to do a show together this week, today.
Yeah.
So absolutely, definitely, it's on the trajectory for 2022, 100%. Yep.
So obviously you were meant to be playing a show on your release day, which is, and with a week and a half's notice, it's quite a different conception of your release day, I guess, to not be performing today.
It's just, I don't know, it's a funny feeling. It's a really funny feeling, like we set the date. It was, I've been really practicing, rehearsing, getting ready for it, and then not happening. But that's just life, isn't it? And that's gone through for the last two and a bit years with everything changing in the world. But it'll be great. It'll be great to do some shows, and it'll be great for my music to be out there. And that's the main point of it. That's the main point of it, is it's out, and people listen to it, and people want to hear it, and people like it, and that's the whole point of it.
Yeah. Now, to just go back into your musical past, I believe you started learning guitar at the age of 9 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So that's a long relationship to have with an instrument. I'm wondering if the guitar holds any mysteries for you still.
It sure does. Look, guitars, for me, I'm the youngest of 5. I've got 4 older brothers, and 2 of my older brothers, they've played guitar since I was a young girl. And so for me, growing up with them and being so musically influenced by their taste in music, but, them playing and things like that, I just wanted to pick up a guitar and play. And that's all I ever wanted to do, was play and sing. And so, I've always, I've had this relationship with the guitar. And when I was 16, I put it down, and I pursued, sports, and I pursued an athletic sort of career. I don't know what, if you want to call it that, and I always played guitar a little bit, but I love guitars. Like, I could have a house full of guitars, but there is always that that really soulful connection with the guitar. I pick it up and I feel like I'm home.
Wow.
I feel right. Yeah.
Acoustic or electric is your preference?
Acoustic.
Acoustic, yeah. Right. So how many acoustic guitars do you have?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 acoustics.
Yeah, right.
But they're all good ones. They're all and they're all special. I've got a vintage Gibson that I bought in Nashville a few years ago, and that's a real songwriter's guitar, and it's just got a beautiful smell to it. So there's a real mystery with me connected to that guitar, because I'd love to know who's played it, where it's been, how many songs have been written on it. I'll never know, of course, but every time I pick it up, I just think, there's a big curiosity there. So
yeah, great, and great backstory to getting it as well. So I believe also when you were a bit younger, you taught yourself songs by Emmylou Harris, Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, other artists. Are there any songs you still love to play from that time that you might put in a set, for example?
Oh, there is. I mean, there's always a Neil Young song that I'd Needle and the Damage Done. There Comes a Time. you know, Stevie Nicks, Landslide, you know, they're my go-tos. You know, I still have them in set lists. You know, favourites, and people love those songs, and I'm really connected to those songs. You know, Helpless, again, Neil Young. You know, I'm just so connected to those songs, and you know, I dabbled a little bit. You know, I sort of did a bit of Dylan and the Eagles, and you know, just sort of taught myself a few different artists and bands and things like that. But you know, they're the ones that I think would never go out of a set list for me.
Mm-hmm. And so that covers your guitar playing. When did you start singing?
Well, I've always sung. I never knew that I could actually sing, but little girl, my dad used to sing to me all the time, and so I used to sing. You know, that's what we did. Dad and I used to sing, and so I guess, you know, when I was young and I was teaching myself, I would just sing to myself, and then I just sort of started to develop it as a teenager, and then when I picked it up again as a you know, I realised that I could probably hold a tune,
right.
And then it just sort of grew from there. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned sports or athletics in particular, and you were a triathlete.
Yeah.
Competitive one, not just as a hobby. So there's a particular commitment you need to train, and to that level you need to show up for yourself and for the sport. I'm wondering if that's helped you in your work as a songwriter and a musician, that essentially training you had in a different discipline.
Yeah, I think it definitely, you know, I'm a disciplined person anyway, but you know, that discipline of you know, training for a triathlon, and being sure that I'm fit and I'm trained and I'm race ready and things like that. And then the nerves with racing, you know, I was always nervous before a race, and it's really no different to music. You know, I rehearse and I practice and I think and I strategize and all of that sort of stuff, you know, in my head about how I want to recreate a cover song, for example. But then the nerves before I go on to perform are always there, and I'm able to sort of challenge those from I guess my athletic days as well. Yeah.
It's fascinating though, isn't it? As much as you've competed, as much as you performed, the nerves are there. I guess it's because you care about the outcome, and if you didn't have them, it could possibly turn out to be a bad show. But it's learning to manage those nerves, and the experience is a really great skill.
It really is. And you know, I've had some shows where I've just been really, really nervous, and I, you know, to the point I just thought I don't know if I can get through this, or I'm going to forget the words, or you know. But once I get up there and I get started, I'm fine. But yeah, it's really something that I have to, and I've had to work through. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're in Newcastle in New South Wales. So is Catherine Britt. So is Natalie Henry. I'm wondering what's in the water in Newcastle. We're coming up with these great artists.
Yeah. No, there's some incredible artists in Newcastle, and there's so many of them. And it's, I think the best thing about Newcastle is that it's just a great music scene all round. You know, there's so many upcoming artists, and there's so many older artists, and it's just a great music scene, and it's a big music family, and particularly the country music family. It's just supported, and it's really strong. You know, it's really encouraging and supportive. It's great. Yeah.
So you obviously have some venues there that you can all perform at regularly, and you know there'll be an audience there.
Yeah. So we have Natalie Henry. And I've got to admit, she's probably the most entrepreneurial person that I've known. But she does the Peppertown Jam once a month at the Stag and Hunter Hotel. So we all get there, and you know, we have our night. We all get up and we do a couple of songs each, and that's, you know, that's the highlight of the month. Apart from anything else, you know, for me, I could do a show or I could do a gig, but for me, that's the highlight, because you know, we're surrounded by people we love, and we just want to hear their music, and it's easy and it's relaxed and it's fun, and it's just got this amazing vibe, you know, and so that's one of the favorite. Yeah.
Right. So you mentioned trying to get a show together with Natalie for Tamworth in April.
Yeah.
Given that, none of us really knows what's happening with restrictions and shows being put on or cancelled, are you hopefully going to be playing some shows in support of the EP sometime soon?
Yes, I will be. So Tamworth for me, I will be there. I've already, got some shows, like my shows have been moved. So fingers crossed. But in the meantime, I'll be doing a couple of local shows in Newcastle and on the Central Coast to sort of launch my EP locally. And Catherine's been kind enough to put me on one of the bush pubs tour, so I'll be jumping on the road with Catherine and the gang, which will be really nice. So April's not that far away, but yeah, there's some things in the pipeline and some shows in the pipeline and a bit of a trip here and there over the next couple of months.
Well, you say that she's been kind enough, but Catherine's got high standards, so I'm quite sure you're not on that tour unless she thinks that you're up to it and up to her audience.
Yeah, well, that's, all very true. Very true. But, I feel very, very privileged and very lucky to be on board with Catherine. Yeah.
And I suppose as you head out on the road and play these new songs, is that thing will happen whereby you develop a different relationship with the songs than you've had till this point, and you'll see your audience have a relationship with it as well. Are there any songs you've ever recorded where after performing them for a while you think, oh, I wish I could go back and re-record that because it's a different song for me now?
100%. And that song is the single that I recorded, which was a number of years ago now, is Margarita.
Right.
Though I love that version of it, I'd love to record another version of it and have them both up, because I do it in a different way. And I think, that could be done again differently. So 100%, that's one of the songs. Yes, I often think that myself. Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll see that on the next EP or an album. But in the meantime, the EP that's just out is Redemption is Real. It is wonderful. You've created 5 fantastic songs that all belong together and also stand alone. So
yeah,
thank you for making it, and good luck with taking it on the road and on the Bush Pubs tour.
Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate that. And I really do appreciate you having me on the podcast, on the show. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.